How far away are we from building a colony on the moon? After an advanced Japanese spacecraft performed the most precise landing in history within 55 meters of its target, that dream became one step closer. Accurately landing small vehicles like this will radically bring down the cost of exploration missions needed to prepare the first human moon settlement. Hey there, I'm Regis, and if you're looking for a break from the fear and despair that you see in the news all the time, you have come to the right place. Breakthroughs in science, medicine, and huge wins in the battle against climate change are happening every day, and we've scoured the news for the best ones. From a renewable energy park bigger than some countries to an African island winning its battle against malaria. Here are 7 good news stories from all around the world. Starting with some great news out of the United States, where a drug to treat severe food allergies has been approved. Almost 1 in 3 adults in the United States suffer from a kind of food allergy, usually milk, eggs, or peanuts. Driven by overprotective parents as well as poor air quality, this number is only rising for the next generation. Children with food allergies doubled between 2000 and 2018. That's why the approval of Xolair couldn't come sooner. The chemical compound inside is called omalizumab and has already been used safely for over 2 decades to treat severe asthma, hives, and growths inside the sinuses. It's taken through an injection, either monthly or bi-monthly, and dramatically reduces the symptoms of food allergy reactions. In trials approved by the US Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA for short, the tolerance of either peanut or 2 other common allergens was increased in 2 out of 3 participants. Taking Xolair won't mean that sufferers become immune to their sensitive foods, but it will help make reactions less severe and potentially save lives. And the FDA sees it as a powerful new treatment option. Talking about government regulation, over in Europe, lawmakers have made progress in the fight against climate change, as the European Parliament adopts a law to restore 20% of the EU's land and sea. The new policies come against a backdrop of damning studies published over the last decade. Between 2008 and 2012, the number of species with either poor or bad status increased by 7%, while 81% of habitats fit one of those categories as well. Apart from affecting the population and being connected to hundreds of thousands of deaths, poor habitat protection threatens tourism, agriculture, and transport. That's why the European Parliament recently adopted the Nature Restoration Law, aimed at reviving ecosystems across all member states. It was first presented in 2022, and after almost 2 years of lengthy negotiations, the law was fortunately passed by a narrow margin. The European Union has set out a blueprint for how many members can make a difference by focusing on wetlands known as peatlands. These are wet, swampy areas made up of many types of organic matter, like decaying plants. Peatlands act as the world's best carbon stores to take in carbon dioxide emissions, which would otherwise contribute to the intensifying climate crisis. The European Union is home to 350,000 square kilometers of peatlands, but half of that area has already been degraded. Restoring these areas is the most straightforward way for European member states to make a huge contribution to climate change. On top of that action plan, there are also still targets. The EU aims to restore 1/5 of land and sea areas that have been classified as degraded by the year 2030. This goal progressively increases to 90% by 2050 and is part of the EU's Green Deal to bring down carbon emissions and protect the environment. While Europe is focusing on clawing back its ecosystems, India is investing big in the new green economy with the world's largest renewable energy park. Named the Gujarat Hybrid Renewable Energy Park, it will be made up of thousands of solar panels and wind turbines, making it the biggest of its kind on the planet. The idea is to help transition India, which is the world's 3rd biggest carbon polluter, into a renewable powered economy. The park spans 726 square kilometers. For perspective, that's almost as big as Singapore. But who's funding this mega project? It comes from an unlikely source: the green energy department of coal giant Adani. The company has already raised $3 billion from investors, and the total cost for the energy park is estimated to be $19 billion. When completed, the energy park will pump out 30 gigawatts, enough to supply 22.5 million average homes. While India's solar panels soak up the sun, a deep-sea creature has also been found looking for a heat source in Costa Rica, where 4 new species of octopus have been discovered. Around 3,000 meters below the water's surface, scientists recently wrapped up a thrilling year-long hunt off the coast of Costa Rica. Chasing a new unknown kind of octopus they glimpsed in June of last year, the team used a remotely operated vehicle known as Sebastian to do a deep dive, a fully equipped heavy-duty robotic device. The researchers were able to observe up close 4 previously unknown species of octopus huddling around hydrothermal springs. Mother octopi often seek out warm locations, sometimes near extinct volcanoes, to protect their eggs before giving birth. The process is notoriously fatal. The mother dedicates herself to birth so much that she refuses to eat and dies as her eggs hatch. The warmth of places like hot springs helps the baby octopi grow more quickly, increasing their odds of surviving. Since these habitats are deep underwater and difficult to identify, scientists had only found 1 octopus hatchery in the past. That makes the discovery in Costa Rica just the 2nd in world history. For now, only one of the 4 species has a name, which was decided as Dorado, which refers to the rock El Dorado Hill nearby. While 3 of the species were identified as part of the Musoctopus genus, 1 is still up for debate. Our next story takes us away from the ocean and hundreds of thousands of miles into space, where a Japanese space mission has been rescued from disaster. After a spacecraft landed on the moon's surface on January 19th, the Japanese team quickly realized there was a big problem. Named SmartLander for Investigating Moon, or SLIM for short, finding the right landing spot was one of the key parts of the mission. The $120 million spacecraft is equipped with an experimental navigation system that uses data from a lunar orbiter, processes it through an algorithm, and then operates an onboard laser to survey the ground. These kinds of precision soft landings are an important step to enable more missions to the moon. Accessing those areas of great interest to scientific research much more precisely will drive down mission costs, as additional rovers will just no longer be required. Ultimately, that way, research can be conducted faster and more efficiently to prepare for the colonization of the moon. SLIM's system worked better than anyone imagined, landing within 55 meters of the target location, the most precise moon landing in human history. However, it came down slightly tilted to its side, meaning the solar cells were pointed in the wrong direction, leaving no sunlight to power the second part of its mission. A month after being switched off to save battery, SLIM unexpectedly re-established contact with the sun shining and plenty of energy to complete its research of a nearby crater. SLIM's work has opened doors for future space travel and earned Japan a spot on the list of only 5 countries to have ever soft landed on the moon. Back down on Earth in Africa, another country has made its way onto a very different coveted list, as the Republic of Cabo Verde is declared malaria-free for the first time. Malaria kills more than 600,000 people each and every year. While 85 different countries suffer from malaria deaths around the world, these effects are highly concentrated in Africa, which account for 95% of all deaths. Apart from a lack of healthcare infrastructure and medicine, Africa also contains some of the most deadly variants of malaria. Up until recently, only 2 countries on the continent had achieved the title of malaria-free from the World Health Organization. To be awarded that title, a country has to maintain 0 reports of locally transmitted malaria for 3 consecutive years. Now, the island country of Cabo Verde, formerly known as Cape Verde, has become the 3rd country in Africa to be officially added to that list. The government achieved its target by using mosquito control programs, increasing access to free testing services, and monitoring travelers coming in from overseas. Controlling migration is significantly easier than in many other African countries, since it's separated from mainland Africa. Still, Cabo Verde is the 6th poorest country in Africa, and the government has been applauded by the World Health Organization as an example of efficient action to minimize transmission. The World Health Organization has something else to celebrate too, as global tobacco production and consumption is declining. Claiming over 8 million lives a year, tobacco has been one of the biggest global health threats humans have ever confronted. It's the biggest cause of lung cancer, along with heart disease, diabetes, stroke, and dozens of other health problems. At the beginning of this century, in 2000, 32.7% of the world's population over 15 years old were regular users of tobacco. 20 years later, in 2020, that number had dropped down to 21.7%. The latest report released by the World Health Organization has found that smoking rates continue to fall. By 2025, the trend suggests that global smoking rates will drop below 20%. That trend includes 150 different countries, with Southeast Asia still having the highest rate of tobacco users, where more than 1 in 4 people smoke. However, the European region is declining much slower compared to the developing world, and if current trends continue, Europe will overtake the #1 spot from Southeast Asia by 2030. The report also mentioned that the use of e-cigarettes, particularly in children under the age of 15, is rising. A lack of regulation, ease of access through the internet, and often heavily flavored products targeted at young people make the problem difficult to tackle. The World Health Organization is calling for urgent action to stop e-cigarettes from becoming a worldwide epidemic, like tobacco did. The good news is that 34 countries from around the world have already answered the call by banning them outright. That's it for this month. If you enjoyed this video, we'd really appreciate it if you would subscribe to our channel and help us grow. That way, we can reach more people and continue to make better and better content for all of our viewers. Thanks in advance. Feel free to share your opinions about these 7 stories and let us know if there are any other positive news stories that you think we should cover in the comments down below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.